we hear all the time about platform consolidation. We're particularly
Yeah.
hearing it from the big players that want to consolidate. So we're hearing it from, Palo Alto, Cisco, Microsoft, even some other players were trying, like CrowdStrike before the unfortunate incident.
Yeah.
Cloudflare, rolling out more and more services, trying to get you to consolidate on one platform. But particularly hearing it from, Microsoft, Palo Alto, and Cisco. Do
Yeah.
you see your stack consolidating anytime in the near future?
Yeah, we do. They're probably, I'd like to consolidate our SIM. We have a outlier kind of vendor on that one. So we'd likely do that. I don't know that we'd consolidate more into Microsoft. That's not in our. I mean, we're a Microsoft customer. We certainly use it quite a bit, but I prefer some of the other vendors on their focus areas there.
Yeah, we hear that a lot from you and your peers. Obviously, you're a very big organization. You have the E5 license. Some of this just comes with it, and it starts creeping into your organization. But no one really considers them best of breed. And I
Right.
also feel like every time you turn around, you're hearing about another breach on Microsoft's
Mhm.
security side, and poor CrowdStrike's getting raked over the coals, and everyone seems to give Microsoft a pass.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Why is that?
Well, CrowdStrike was the one that initiated the issue, so it is their fault. However, Microsoft can build a much more robust platform. Part of the problem on the Microsoft side is they had, because of some of their antitrust issues, they had to build access into their kernel,
Right.
and that's that kind of that kind of requirement has an unintended consequence of the CrowdStrike outage potentially, or vendors like CrowdStrike screwing up and blowing the Microsoft kernel up.
That's a very astute point about the architecture and
Yeah.
what they were forced to do on that side, because that really is the attack surface where most of the time it happens for Microsoft.
Yep.
So you brought him up, so I'm going to just stop on him for a second. We'll ask. So CrowdStrike has been an absolute darling in our vendor universe. I could go
Yeah.
back for years and years and years, and you could just see how elevated their spend was. This bright green is adoption, dark green is increased spend. Had just been absolutely fantastic. This is the most recent survey.
Yeah.
We went from 12% adoption rates, got cut in half, 4% replacement rates are up 300%, and our metric that we call net score, which is an overall trajectory of spending, has fallen off a cliff. It's gone from 50 to about 10. Um,
Yeah.
the last time I saw this happen in our data, and I've been doing this for 15 years, was SolarWinds.
Yeah. Yep.
Obviously, some of this is sentiment. I don't think it's all immediate spend impact. Some
I
of this,
agree.
has to be sentiment. But the directionality is extremely clear here. And if this is accurate, which our data is, I don't
Yeah.
know what they do. So, first of all, sir, I'm not even sure if aware if you are a CrowdStrike customer or not. But even
We
if you're
are.
not, from a perception aspect, and your peers, what do you think the outcome will be? The fallout of this will be?
Honestly, I think they're going to be flat to maybe 10% down. I think a lot of people, I think when your survey came out, it's like pretty close to
Yes.
when the event happened, maybe a couple weeks after. But everybody's really pissed off. But to replace it, you've got to go somewhere. And it's either SentinelOne or Microsoft, I think, are really the only two alternatives. And CrowdStrike is still, from a capability perspective, still pretty far ahead. Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. So this,
Yeah,
we launched one the day of,
yeah,
and the sentiment was awful. So we followed up a month later. So this was a couple of weeks ago. The
I'd say
proposal,
that's pretty damn accurate.
yeah.
I
So
mean,
yeah,
yeah,
it was pretty bad. The future plans that we saw here are these are
yeah,
people that are planning to replace. 56% are either likely or very likely to plan to replace. It's a really, really rough number. And then when we asked which ones they did evaluate, exactly what you said, Microsoft SentinelOne. We did see Palo and Fortinet in there as well.
yeah. I'm surprised Fortinet's in there, but Palo's pretty strong. So yeah.
Yes, interesting. And so, are you currently using EDR, XDR in your organization, and who's supplying it for you?
Oh, CrowdStrike.
It is
Yes.
CrowdStrike. Understood.
Yeah.
And I would assume then, based on the rhetoric I just heard in your voice, that you're probably not planning to move off. You still think they're best of breed.
Still, yeah, we're going to take a look at Sentinel-1. So we're going to evaluate, but it's unlikely we'll move off. But you know, if there's a you know, massive reason to do so, you know, cost-wise, and there's some compelling reasons to do so, then we might. We've got a 3-year agreement with them, and we're in well, we're finishing up year 1, so we have 2 more. So
So Sentinel-1, as a result, it's at its highest pervasion level. That's this yellow line. What pervasion
Mhm.
is for us is the penetration in the survey. So among those people that stated they're in charge of security, how many of those people are actually a customer of Sentinel-1? And their pervasion rate has now grown to 20%. So we are seeing an immediate market share shift. It's
Yeah,
not maybe as huge as you would expect, but from a spending trajectory, they're seeing a slight uptick, but they've been rather steady. So we haven't yet seen an immediate spend impact with it.
interesting. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably because of the multi-year agreements
Yes. Yeah.
with CrowdStrike. I mean, I think that'll take a while to trickle up.
And we're also hearing that they're offering some concessions on those multi-years, on those out years to stick around.
Hmm.
Have you heard anything from them about that yet?
From CrowdStrike, I haven't.
Not yet.